So, healing the digestive system, what else needs to be part of your awareness? And of course, these are just short little snippets of information and insights into a very deep and rich topics that we could look at and talk about for a long time. They are some of the great mysteries of life. And of course, in any healing journey, you may want a particular outcome. There is a goal, and it's also the leaning into the process of healing, transcendence, and transformation that creates the best evolution and growth. Yeah. So, as part of our connection of information, our communication master inside of our system is our fascia. Our fascial system is actually all of our connective tissue. So it is our blood, it is our lymph, it's our blood vessels and our lymph vessels. It is the surrounding holders of the nerve and the nervous tissues and the nervous system tissues. And it is our bone, it is our heart, it is our skeletal muscle, it is our smooth muscle. It is wrapped around all of our skeletal muscle as well. You might have heard of it called the tensegrity system. It is also part of the cytoskeleton. Like, it literally interpenetrates every part of our body, from like the edges of the nucleus in our DNA all the way out to our skin. And so it seems pretty relevant then that when we're working on the digestive system, understanding what's going on in our fascia could be a very powerful component as part of that healing, because all of our digestive organs are surrounded by fascia. They're held by fascia. If our fascial network is really tight, if it's really contracted, if there's a lack of flow, if there's a lack of information availability, then that's going to hamper healing efforts. And so the things that I look at as a practitioner and the things that I ask my clients to work with is some of the structural fascial tightness that might be running like in the sheets up and down your body. So there's these long fascial lines that move from the soles of your feet up the back of your legs. They wrap around through your pelvis. You've got fascial sheets through here. Your diaphragm is encased in a fascial sheet. Like every part of us from head to toe. And so massaging the fascia is an incredibly important pathway into helping create some release of the tightness. And what I often find, in fact, I think I've always found with all of my clients with digestive disturbances, is that when we start working with the soles of their feet and up through their calves and then up through their upper legs, is they are so tight. They are so tight. And so if the bottom of your feet are like literally pulling the rest of your body down, it kind of makes sense then that this cavity space is going to be pulled down by the fascia that runs down through your legs. And so releasing you from your foundations up is very, very powerful. And when it comes to allowing your breath to create that rhythmic flow and that amazing signaling for your digestive system, unlocking through the tightness of your diaphragm and then through your whole abdominal area is another really powerful point. And so self-massage, self-touch, breath, sound, movement, touch, they're all pertinent things that are related to fascial health, nervous system health, digestive system health, hormonal health. And so what's really interesting also, if you think about our development from womb onwards, we were listening to the breath of our mother. The breath of our mother created the vibrations that actually create some of the kinetic energy that stimulates some of the cell division. And the first sense that we have that engages is actually touch. And then from touch, we get hearing, and then last, we get sight. And as adults particularly, we base so much of our world on what we can see, rather than the vibration of what we're truly feeling, the resonance of the harmony of our internal world and external world. And so there are some other amazing points related to the fascia. So as this one continual, interpenetrative network, this polymorphic, tridimensional matrix structure of our body, it also is the fluid proportion of our body. So the blood and the lymph and the fluids in our system love hydrophilic, water-loving membranes. Now, every single cell membrane in our body is made of fats, and the quality and quantity of the fats that make up that membrane are actually really important for that cellular structure and are really important for how hydrophilic that cell membrane is. So that in itself is a whole nother conversation, but every single one of our cell membranes loves attracting water to it. And so what's really interesting is that when we drink water, we think of water as, just being like the water that comes out of our filter or out of our tap or out of the sky. But when we drink water and water is attracted to the cell membranes, it actually goes through a process of rearrangement. So normal tap water, water in the sky, it's H2O. Yet when it comes into our body and meets up with the cell membrane, this reorganizational structure means that it ends up being H3O2. And so it creates this single sheet of crystalline lattice hydrogen and oxygen atoms, and it creates a negative electrical charge right next to this cell membrane. It pops out the protons, and so there's positive charge on the outside. And so this ends up being an amazingly powerful energy-based system for us to utilize. Our mitochondria all require electrons and water as part of their process, and oxygen and other nutrients. But this is really, really important because this is called structured water, or EZ water, exclusion zone water. Exclusion zone because as that crystal lattice, plasma gel-like liquid starts to assemble on the surface of cell membranes, it can actually exclude, different toxins or other things from coming in that aren't meant to be there. So the more structured water, or fourth phase water, we have in our body, fourth phase meaning that it's separate from vapor water and ice. So you've got this fourth phase of water. There are the other three phases of water. This fourth phase water is incredibly potent and needed and necessary for a healing trajectory. And so how do we get to influence fourth phase water and improve our fascial network? Well, it is through breath, sound, movement, touch. And if you're looking to seek more with that, Reverend Brianna Lynn does amazing work with her Earth Temple and Oracle Mystery School. She teaches those practices so beautifully, and so I'm not going to delve into them further in this video. And the other components that help our fascia is our consistent massaging, like the loosening of that contraction and tightness. And again, our fascia responds to rhythms, the rhythms of the Earth's cycles particularly. Our fascia and structured water creation absolutely positively respond to dawn and dusk specifically. And I already did mention that, when we're more aligned to the circadian rhythms of the Earth, it does help align a lot of the clock genes in our body. And this is really important for digestive health because our digestive system lining through our small intestine is meant to renew and replace kind of every, say, 2 to 5 days. And the regulation of that is very dependent on our sleep cycles, but also the time of day in which we're waking up and accessing the light, natural light from dawn onwards. And so they're sending all of these cues through the photonic communication system that is our fascia and is structured water. And so the health of your fascia, how hydrated you are, this makes a huge difference in the flow of information in your body. We also, as I mentioned before, we receive a huge amount of electrons when we're standing bare skin on the surface of the Earth. That helps to charge up this structured water component in our body. That gives us more energy, more capacity to heal, and it helps support our whole entire fascial network system. So it feels optimized, it feels supported, it feels like it's got the energy to continue to do the things that you need to do in your day. So all of your systems are working in a much more integrated way for you, and your fascia can support your digestive system healing. There's so many other beautiful points that are aligned with the way structured water works in your body and with your fascial system, and how you are a communication tool for biophotons, photons of light and sound, and electrons and protons. There is so much quantum information. You are a quantum tool. You are a frequency reservoir. You are emitting and receiving frequencies the whole time. And I perhaps mentioned this before, but fascia is also our heart. And it's such an interesting thing that our heart, you know, as a little organ just sitting in our chest, sends more messages to our brain than our brain does to our heart. And our heart's got 40,000 around about cardiac neurons. Our brain's got 86 billion neurons. And so much emphasis is placed upon the mind. And yet it is our heart, our feeling center, that creates the largest electromagnetic field resonance of any organ in our body. Some of the negative impacts that can happen for structured water and for fascia come from things like man-made EMFs. So that is all of your different screens, devices, artificial lights, microwaves, and other magnetic rays that can be moving through your body. And so it is slightly more challenging if you are living in higher density, more populated areas, in cities with built structures and a lot more mobile phone towers and a lot more devices and, you know, 24/7 streaming, you know, like there's so much more light and noise, and all of those kind of things are affecting your system. And so in what ways can we work to minimize that? In what ways can we work with our own system to create regulation? The breath, sound, movement, touch, working with your fascia in terms of body release and stretches. Human Garage is amazing for that. If you've never accessed their work on YouTube or Instagram, they do a 28-day reset, which is very, very, very powerful. And your awareness of your body movement and posture. And so if your posture does tend to be much more hunched over, crouched in, shoulders in, you know, gut contracted, again, there's not very much space in here for information flow and healing. And so as many things as you can do to allow an opening through your body and a straightening of your posture, and that might be needing to see other specialists and practitioners to support your body in that unlocking. It might be you choosing to go through a stretching routine every day. It really depends on your individual circumstances. But if your posture does need greater alignment, that is really important for your digestive system and your healing growth trajectory. I hope that this makes sense. I'm always fascinated to hear your thoughts on what I've shared. Please offer any questions. If you want any extra videos, I'm absolutely down for sharing more. Please respect your fascia. Please respect your hydration. And one last point about hydration that I didn't mention is that adding in electrolytes, diatomaceous earth, Irish moss, is very important to maintain hydration. The way that you're breathing, so in and out through your nose or in through your nose and out through your mouth preferentially, does assist better hydration. If you're drinking lots of water and you're always thirsty, perhaps it's time to look at your electrolyte balance. Do you have enough salt to help the water come into your body? Hydration is absolutely vital for fascia. It's so important for your body. Your fascia is your lymphatic system, which is also your immune system, and so much of your lymphatic activity is surrounding your gut. And so I feel like that's all I need to share on this particular lesson, because as always, each topic I could open up into a really, like, we could talk about it for a really long time. There's just so much that is here to appreciate in your own body and in the unlocking of your health and wellness trajectory. Thank you for listening.